a few short months, God has taken us from, this idea like, what if, what we've been able to do in a couple churches to help them see their community needs and then mobilize. What if God could do that in lots of churches? And what if our purpose in all of this is to take what we know and what we've been learning and continue to learn, but then package all of that in a way that lots and lots of churches could benefit from it without really changing their staffing structure or their current the things that they're doing really well.
We believe multiplication, the buzzword that every preacher in America is well aware of. It's much more than a buzzword. You see, the idea that churches are designed to create disciples is exactly what Jesus taught. And the church is beginning to understand that everything they do should be more than just shepherd the flock, but to teach disciples how to make disciples, who teach those disciples how to make more disciples, who plant churches and create more disciples, who create more disciples. The idea of church multiplication. This idea is the basis for huge conferences gathering all across the country, where thousands of church leaders learn the principles of multiplication. More and more church leaders are beginning to care more about their reach than actually growing their church. This concept could reach so many people, and as a result, grow their church larger than they ever dreamed of. In the 1500s, there was the Reformation movement. In the 20th century, there was the Fundamentalist movement. In the 1960s, the Charismatic movement. The topic of multiplication is creating a movement that we believe in 100 years from now, this generation of church will be known as the multiplication movement. However, the success of this movement, it's yet to be determined. It's up to us, the church. There are no exact numbers to reach or scientific markers for success, but I think we can all agree. If it's numbers we are talking about, numbers of people, the percentage of our population that are disciples of Jesus Christ, well, we are losing the numbers game. Look at the world around you. It's obvious we can't waste time. The church has to be more than a place that fills you up. It has to be a place that helps you help other people. It has to be a place that helps you help others.
I can definitely see where God is doing the work of drawing hurting people to himself. I mean, we're seeing hurt and disappointment on so many levels in America. More and more churches are becoming aware and becoming interested in being involved. I mean, and not just like what we've seen lately with natural disasters. Certainly the church has been phenomenal to respond, even outpacing other organizations. But I think what God is really putting on the hearts of churches and people in churches is this idea of a lifestyle of serving their neighbors and serving the people that are not yet part of the church, or serving the people that are unsure about who God is and how he feels about them.
The principle behind multiplication, it's easy to grasp. One disciple that creates another disciple that creates another disciple. Churches are uniquely positioned because they have many people that gather in one place. The healthy church fully arms its congregation with knowledge, as it should. Knowledge, so we can go to our friends and coworkers and teach them how to follow Christ. And it's great for the church to be full of knowledge, but our world, our communities are in great need of our God. And if the truth does not multiply at the same rate as lies do, good versus evil, our generation may be responsible for letting Christianity die in our country. Instead of the great multiplication movement being the time where America was reborn. You see, we can't just do this after a hurricane. We can't just do this in times of great trouble. We have to make this who we are.
Certainly churches don't have an expert community mobilizer typically on staff to lead those efforts. And so it just goes undone, even though churches really, really want to make a difference beyond their congregation, beyond their walls.
Our short-term vision is to help 200 healthy churches in the next 5 years reach their community in a way that has never been done before. In a moment, we will show you the math, but that reaches an incredible amount of people. So what's the plan? The church is meant to teach the flock. But then what? The mission is clear. He said, "Go therefore and make disciples of all nations." But we need a plan. And not just any plan, a plan that maximizes discipleship multiplication. So here's the plan. At least the concept is simple. We help people. But it's much more than that. By helping people, we not only help those we are going to help, but we attract those between the church and those we serve. People will take notice.
I really, the last several decades, wrestled with this question of why are there still so many unmet needs in communities in the United States when there's a church in a community. And I've come to the conclusion that it's not that God lacks resources, and it's not that churches lack compassion. It's really that they just lack a plan for how to handle local needs in a way that helps people and that leads to disciples.
This plan is in the Bible. There are more than 2,000 texts where the Bible refers to the poor, wealth and poverty, and social injustice. If you took these verses out of the Bible, it would be full of holes. If you spend yourselves in behalf of the hungry and satisfy the needs of the oppressed, your light will rise in the darkness. This is exactly what we're talking about. The church is so important. It's the nucleus, the hub of knowledge, the home base, the central command center. The church, every Bible teaching healthy church, is critical. So why do we need a new plan? We believe the church as a whole has made knowledge and community within the priority. And this is why so many churches are closing their doors every year. Did you know our English word mission comes from the Latin word for sending? There is a reason the Bible tells us to go into the earth and make disciples. We have to be a church that teaches the Bible and teaches how to use it. Mission isn't a program or an add-on. It's who we are. Jesus said, "As you sent me into the world, I also have sent them into the world." That's us. We believe there's a reason. There are those with plenty and those without. Could it be part of God's design that we are all without something? This is why the Bible is full of passages about actually helping those in need. Without needs, there is no need to help people and no opportunity for miracles to happen. At the present time, your plenty will supply what they need, so that in turn, their plenty will supply what you need.
And so I'm thinking surely there's someone more brilliant and experienced out there that can champion this work. And at the same time, I'm saying, hey, God, pick me, because I get so excited about the idea of churches just knowing their sweet spot and just being exactly who God brought them together to be in their community, and for people to see God because their needs are being met through the church, and for people both inside the church and those not inside the church, for people's lives to be transformed. I just get so excited about that, and to be part of that at any level is, I know what my life purpose is.
You see, we have to break down the walls between the church and the community. Meeting needs, theirs, ours, is a direct path to hearts. This is more than just something we should do in comparison. We believe this is all part of God's plan to maximize discipleship multiplication. You see, we can't just help people. We have to help them in a certain way, a way that helps without hurting, a way that is weekly or monthly, a regular ongoing task that builds relationships with people. Because that's how people see God. It's how they see Jesus. It's how they see miracles happen. To change our world, it will take a miracle. Jesus performed miracles to show people who he was, and so people followed him. We have a world of needs, and every time the church meets a need, we give God the time and place to perform a miracle. We can't expect the orphan and the widow to walk through our church doors and become a disciple until we meet their needs, until we show them who Jesus is. Even the original disciples were slow to believe until Jesus filled the boat with fish, walked on water, calmed the sea. When we feed the hungry, they see Jesus.
Not only is God giving us some pieces or a specific mission to do as part of this, he's showing us that he's up to something really big, and we get excited about what could happen if hundreds of churches got really good at just being the church in their local communities.
Obviously, God knows the best strategy to maximize discipleship multiplication. And it goes like this. I mean, this isn't our plan. Again, it's in the Bible. First, we have to have a group of people that know him. Hence, Jesus' 12 dudes then and the whole church now. Second, I'm just guessing here, but I'm pretty sure God had an agenda. He knew where to send Jesus between Christmas and the cross. He didn't just decide every morning what was going to happen and what he wanted Jesus to do that day. He had a plan for the whole life of Jesus here on earth. He did not send him to places that were not going to have strategic impact for his overall agenda, just because someone wanted to.
When we first even had this idea and shared it, that we got a lot of feedback that it was a need, that it's not something that anybody else was out there doing. There's a lot of parallel work going on and work to mobilize churches into global communities is certainly something that's has a lot more attention right now. But the work of truly being on mission locally is not something that there's a lot of tools and resources for churches. God's brought other partners that already work with churches that are doing consulting, different movements to bear that we know we can connect with, so that we're not just doing this on our own or in isolation, that we're a piece of a pipeline that God has already, been creating. He's been filling in these pieces, and that we're going to get to be part of something that's yet another missing piece. That's pretty amazing.
So let's multiply like Jesus did. Let's apply the philosophy and the agenda of Jesus Christ to our church. At least 15,000 people ate 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread until they were full. Can you imagine when they left that day, how many people each of them told? It would go something like this. Hey, this guy, he had 2 fish and he kept breaking them in half. He broke it in half again, and then he broke that fish in half again, and he kept breaking the same fish in half again and again. And I know it doesn't make sense. I know it doesn't make sense. But I ate this fish, and it was like the best fish I ever had. And I kept eating it, and he kept breaking it in half, and we kept passing it around. And have you ever been to Woodstock? Yeah, it was like that, like this huge sea of people, and everybody was just happy, and just they couldn't hardly stand how happy they were because this guy, he kept breaking this fish in half. This guy named Jesus. It was the craziest thing I've ever seen. Can you imagine the conversation from those that were actually there? I guarantee each of those 12,000 people there that day, they told at least 3 people. I mean, at least, that weren't there. That's 36,000 additional people. I bet each of those people told more people, and on and on. That story has been told over and over again for 2,000 years. And as a result, literally hundreds of billions of people have heard it. This application is what Jericho Solutions is built on. We institute winning math. Jericho Solutions exists to help churches create their plan.
What we get really excited about when we think about Jericho Solutions is this idea that we could help not one, but hundreds of churches know how to see their community needs and know what they're equipped as a church to do, and then to match those up to help them create a plan where they could launch out into the community in ways that they haven't done before. And for some churches, maybe it's taking some really great foundational work where they've been partnering or meeting a need and taking it to the next level where they're truly connecting relationally with people in the community, and that true problems in the community like addiction and poverty, that we're moving in the right direction because we're trusting God and the way He's equipped His people to make change, to make real change.
The plan that their specific church is gifted to embrace. A plan where the church meets needs. When we teach a child to read every week, when we feed the hungry every week, when we provide a friend to the lonely every week, when we play games with a struggling child every week, when we find those seeking employment work every week, we make friends, which is the beginning to every new disciple. When we show up and be a friend throughout the week, we are showing them miracles. Jesus did it, and He said we will go on to do even greater miracles than He did. Churches need help with this plan of action. This is where Jericho Solution comes in. We help churches take their knowledge and passion and harness it into action. We build plans and bring needed tools, minimizing the time and financial burden. Again, if we don't multiply faster than evil, we lose. While there are incredible things the church is doing, if the church continues on its current path, darkness will continue to overwhelm.
We really have gotten the sense that God is showing us that He's at work, that He is readying churches, that more and more churches are asking the questions about how to meet local needs. They're doing more and more organizing, sometimes in events, but still making progress toward this idea of really being the answer in their community.
Okay, let's review. A healthy church is awesome at teaching the Bible. A healthy church is a group of disciples. A healthy church needs the best plan to maximize discipleship multiplication. Churches have to know where people need miracles to happen and what to do when we get there. A church has to have a process in place to plug those people back into a church to learn what being a disciple means. We have to show them how to show their community miracles.
He's really, really been building our confidence that He's at work. And because of that, when we were praying about how to get started, we really felt like God was saying, jump in, like go all in. We contemplated just, working full time and trying to launch this as a project on the side. And, we just really felt convicted that wasn't the right way to do this. And we recognized that the reason that we would do it that way was because we were scared. And so we've made the commitment to jump in, all in. And that's super scary because that means the typical, approach to something is to work and then do something in your spare time. But we really feel like God's calling Ben and I both to partner together on this and bring our skills and just start Jericho Solutions, because it's a need and it's something that God's put on our hearts.
Jesus and the original disciples showed us the best plan to replicate. Jericho Solutions takes a look at the community around the church. We conduct assessments that tell us what the needs of the community are. We make sure the program aligns with Jericho standards. We take a look at the current serving programs the church is conducting and help them determine the best next steps. We align church programs with community needs, lay foundations for churches to work together communities.
Here's how you can help. October 1st through the 15th, we're going to be doing a campaign to raise $15,000. And this amount of money will allow us to focus over the next several months on developing Jericho Solutions. So getting the stuff all pulled together, getting information out there to churches, so that churches can start to contract Jericho Solutions. And so what we need you to do is, as you see posts on Facebook, there'll be fun ones, there'll be informational ones, there'll be ones that apply good information. As you see those, if you could like them, comment on them, share them. We're trying to get the word out about what Jericho Solutions is and what we hope to accomplish, and the opportunity to partner with us.